Peace, 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 and blessings, starry friends and family. It's Leo season everywhere and to everyone, no matter how you practice astrology. And this August 16th, 2023, there is a new moon, a new lunar cycle kicks off. The new moon conjunct Venus, black moon Lilith, I don't usually talk about, so we'll take a little bit of peek into that. This new moon, all about appreciating ourselves, developing ourselves, especially the parts of ourselves that we have to hide from the world. The main themes are self-appreciation, and integration, how we take that self, how we take and nurture that self, and how we interface it with others, with society, with humanity. And there are some very powerful alignments this month, some of which support self-appreciation and this integration, some of which sort of create some antagonism, some challenges to overcome on our journey towards this self-relationship, the development of it that Leo promises, and the month ahead, friends. So we'll look at that. I'm Michael from One Sky Astrology. Let's look at that. So we have the new moon here. This is the planetarium, the stellarium view for August 16th, 2023. And we can see all the inner planets, even Venus on the Cancer cusp, Mars on the Virgo cusp, are in Leo. So you're going to spend a lot of time talking about Leo this month. We're going to spend some time with cusps this month. There'll be a topic too. We have a lot of cusp activity. And as we back it up through the signs, we have Uranus on a cusp of Aries, Taurus, and Jupiter moving through Aries. We have the North Node, Chiron, and Eris sort of clustered here in late Pisces, and there'll be a topic of discussion too. They make some very interesting relationships this month. They're joined by Neptune, also in Pisces. And as you move around, we see Saturn making his second pass of the degree of fixed star Fomalhaut, Alpha Pisces Australis, the Royal Star, a very powerful star. So again, he's moving retrograde. This will be his second pass of 3. With fixed star Fomalhaut. And Pluto sits on a cusp. We aren't going to spend a lot of time on this cusp because I've talked about it extensively in a couple videos recently, including the United States Pluto return, about this cusp of Sagittarius and Capricorn. Very powerful, a cusp of power. Moving around the South Node 2 is in Virgo, approaching the degree of Spica, Arcturus. It's a very fortunate degree of the sky, and this in particular could really help us in ways I want to take a little time and just mention. It could help us connect to the past in a dignified or liberating way. It could help us feel more positive about our collective human history. It could help to find the lessons in the past, or give us the insight to keep from repeating history. So this is really a very positive degree to find South Node in. And with that, let's jump into the charts. As we can see, Leo is the home. The home is where it's happening. Even though Mars here does end up 3 minutes into Virgo, there's that cusp energy. The stars of Leo are stars of creativity. They're stars that affect self-actualization, and they tend to give power. They tend to give us personal power. They tend to give purpose. They favor involvement. They resonate with the arts. They generate artists. They're very bold stars. They're risk-taking stars. And it's not just the artists that we find in Leo, but it's also resonant, especially fixed star Regulus, Alpha Leo. Very resonant with leadership, genuine rulership, correlate with the sun, the sort of central principle in any given thing. Leo is all of this. Now, it is correlate with the sun and ruled by the sun, so the sun is at home this month and very strong for that. And the sun is the integrative principle. The sun is where in a chart we integrate the rest of the chart. How? By sign and house. How? By placement and relationship. We're integrating the whole rest of the chart. So the sun is people think the sun is the persona or the ego. That gets a lot in Western mainstream, but really the sun is the integration point. The integration point. So how we're integrating our experience, how we integrate knowledge, right? Leo is very much having to do with processing, chewing, integrating, digesting, taking information and making it, internalizing it, making it automatic, making it, deepening it. Leo has a quality of like, here I am, deal with it, where it's solution. It's sort of complement what it needs to succeed in that regard. Lies across the sky in Aquarius's orientation to social obligation, especially with Saturn here, friends. What does the overall system need from me? This is always what Leo is going to miss. It's sort of Leo's blind spot. And, that always happens when things are across the sky. It's just sort of part of the sacred way that the heavens seem to be arranged. Leo has a shadow side. There's a shadow side to all this self-actualization, creative self-discovery. It comes with a focus on self, a sort of self-awareness. Now, those are good things. We want to be self-aware. But when self-focus gets too exaggerated, it can outshine everything else and express on the spectrum of narcissism, toxic selfishness. So it's important to remember with Leo and the sun that they work to selfish ends. So we have to keep them in their place in a way that the genuine king is actually the servant of all. That the brightest, our star, is actually how we integrate the rest of the chart. It's actually like the last, it's the lowest. Everything gets filtered through it. The lowest position at the same time as the highest. That's the king, and Leo can be like that. Or afflicted, it can be like totally self-absorbed, right? Even damaging others knowingly. So you have this spectrum of self-development, creative self-exploration that Leo really will always resonate with. We can see that actually, before we look at this conjunction to Venus, I want to say right here, just there, is the apogee, the lunar apogee, black moon Lilith, and that's a point that I don't talk about a lot. I don't talk about Lilith and Priapus, and it's just for simplicity's sake. Some people wish that I did, and I like to strip things down for these videos to just the main planets and Chiron. I know. We've all got a thing for Chiron, but it's a good thing, I think. When it comes to Black Moon Lilith, she is symbolizing the taboo, the hidden, the what we keep to ourselves, our vulnerabilities, the private, secret things, what we have to keep secret for our safety, our weirdness, our freakiness. Again, the taboo, the taboo, and what we have to keep from society. And at the same time, we have Venus here on the Cancer Leo cusp. And this is a huge reason why I cite the theme of self-appreciation, right? On the Cancer Leo cusp, I often mention how we're learning to take care of ourselves. We're learning to take the nurturing and the caring and the sensitivity and the sacrifice of Cancer. And we're starting now to turn those on the cusp towards ourselves. We're taking a cue from that energy of Leo that brings the self-interest, the focus of our attention on our own self. In Cancer, attention gets very focused on others. So Venus in this position is very, very resonant with taking care of ourselves. Always a theme in this area of the sky. And we're also bringing the visions and the rich imagination of Cancer into the artistic fruition, that creative wellspring of Leo. Venus will always resonate with fine arts, and this degree is always a very beautiful degree of the sky. Where Cancer and Leo and Venus come together, there will always be great beauty. And I just want to move on. There's so much this month. There's always so much we can say, but I want to move on to Uranus. We're going to talk a lot about crazy Uncle Uranus this month. This guy, he's on a cusp too. So we have, let's first just sort of, no, we'll save that for later. I'm everywhere this month, folks. I've got a lot going on in my life. For more on that, stick around till the end of the video. Sweet little update. But yeah, no excuses. Let's stay on point. We're going to have to talk about Uranus. So let's try to do it in a sensible way. The first thing I want to mention is that Uranus squares the new moon very closely, 0 degrees 13 arc minutes. So we have with this a signature of brilliance, of luck. It's a very inventive square. There's a lot of insight into things that's going to come with this. So it comes with a shadow of nervousness. Uranus squares produce anxiety. They give mood swings, right? It's like Uranus and the moon when they contact each other. Moon is our emotions, and Uranus is like this unexpected, impulsive kind of like, so there can be some impulsive type reactions, a lot of mood swings. It can generate new ways of looking at ourselves. That's a big thing this month. There can be new solutions and ideas, but we could feel jumpy. We may need to expend energy. So doing that constructively is really important. And with all this energy in Aries that wants to just spend energy, just run around, just have a high energy experience, right? Like a peak experience. That's what Aries wants. It's a thrill seeker always. So we have this sort of raw, coarse, just like the raw impulse of Aries, which there's so much here that goes back to the last set of eclipses and how the North Node moving through Aries at that time wasn't really letting us get in touch with the raw impulse of this cycle. And by now, in this 6-month cycle of lunations, we're in touch with it. And Jupiter and Uranus from Aries and the Aries cusp are going to bring that awareness of purpose. Again, resonant with Leo. It's like a fire sign thing. The changes that this portends could be challenging. The square says they could be challenging, but they're likely to prove better. They're likely to prove better in the end. Better in the end, even if they do represent things to overcome or imbalances, kind of, even if we have mood swings, a lot of nervous, jangly energy, we can expect that facing these things, balancing them, working with ourselves constructively to temper them is really going to be worth the work. Uranus trines Mars to a very, very close trine. Uranus trine Mars, 0 degrees and 8 minutes. super close. This very innovative sign, very daring, very creative, very lucky. If this is affecting your chart, either the Leo Virgo cusp, if you have anything going on here that Mars is resonant with, Mars is friendly with, or if you have anything on the Aries Taurus cusp that Uranus is friendly with, or you may have noticed already, we'll get a little bit ahead of ourselves, they're forming a grand trine to Pluto. So that's the Capricorn Sagittarius cusp. Any one of these three cusps on this grand trine, if it means anything to you in your natal chart, this is a great time to step out. This is a great time to do something daring, do something brave, take a chance, because fortune favors the bold right now, trying new things, trying innovative things. The cusp of Aries Taurus is where we internalize purpose, where we take purpose and we develop values out of it. So it's a very dynamic cusp, Aries Taurus. It's very electric in a twilight way because Aries is so charged and outer. It's like the primary, just this like almost like primordial external energy, just the urge to experience. It just wants, loves the chase. Doesn't even like to get it, just loves the chase, Aries. And then into Taurus, which is very self-reflective, very much about our values, very much about our relationship to ourselves. How is it with ourselves? What matters to us internally when no one else is looking? So it's the primordial inner reflex. And for that reason, the Aries-Taurus cusp is just electric. Oh, it's lit up. And Uranus loves that electricity. Pluto here is resonant with power in the same way that Uranus is resonant with electricity. He's on the cusp of power. And Mars here, Mars is sort of an oddball because Mars in Leo, what Mars in late Leo wants is to conquer. He wants to teach. He wants to just be the master of his own destiny. And in this instance, what we see in the transition to Virgo is that Mars is taking those gifts generated by Leo and through Leo, and that is resonant with creative self-exploration and all of this leadership, personal self-development, and we're turning all of this self-discovery, self-awareness, self-knowledge, self-focus. We're now in Virgo turning it to others, orienting it to service. How can I improve the condition of others? How can I make better the situation? How can I be of genuine service? How can I be of genuine good? These are the questions that Virgo asks. And when we examine this trine, just precursorily, because we're going to take a little bit more look at it later, what we can see is that it really favors dynamic personal change with Uranus and Pluto, the very archetypes of change and transformation, metamorphosis themselves in this highly activated, resonant Mars on the Virgo cusp, grand trine. So we have all these cusps, we have all this electric twilight energy happening in the realm of change, in the realm of personal power. And, like I said, when it comes to the collective urge, because that's what we're looking at here, this is collectives. This is why we're speaking in such broad strokes, huge generalities. But we can take chances. This favors taking chances. So the collective urge this month is towards metamorphosis, right? Don't fight it. Don't fight it. Roll the dice, right? Try on new attitudes. Try on new affirmations, right? Try liking yourself for who you are, right? Not for who society tells you to be. That's what's going to come out of this. And I want to take a step back. I want to backpedal. and we're going to talk about this Uranus square to new moon, because Uranus is in Taurus temporarily, and many people have made much about Uranus's ingress into Taurus. But this is just a little teaser, just a little flirtation. It's by next new moon in September, Uranus will be retrograde and actually closer to Aries, closer back than he is now. So, and at our most accurate, right, we have to think of Uranus as being on a cusp. So we talked about those sort of celestial borderlands, right? The sort of twilight, the sort of magical potency, the catalytic power of these twilight areas, the cusps, whether it's a combination of two energies that gives things a charge. There's a highly activated energy this month. Uranus will actually stay in this area of the sky, since we're talking about him going retrograde. He'll stay here for about 6 months until May 2024. And Jupiter too will move retrograde in that time and sort of attend Uranus into Taurus. So this is very auspicious. This month, Jupiter squares Venus. It's likely to challenge us in the appreciation, the self-appreciation, challenging us. Or if we're self-absorbed, we need to expand our perspective. That can really bring an expanded awareness. But Jupiter's square Venus tends to shy away from doing the work. And trust me, with all the transformation and change and deep process and crackling electricity this month, I do think, for those reasons and the fact that Saturn is on a very powerful star, I think there will be work this month. So I don't think we should really get too indulgent, too lazy. That could be an obstacle to be aware of and overcome. We talked about Mars, right, being in this degree. This is the degree of the next new moon, right? So this is very resonant. This degree of the sky where Mars is resonant with the main theme next month. So these desires that Mars represents, these principles and desires to master ourselves in late Leo, to begin to be of service to others in early Virgo, they carry into the main theme next month. So we're doing a little spoiler alert. We always look at the next new moon at the end of these videos. So it happens, and if you're following along, that's right. The next new moon will happen in grand trine to Uranus Pluto. So the changes, this is important. The changes will continue. This is like all this cuspy twilight energy. Like, yeah, it's not just going to go away. We're not just going to, like, turn 90 degrees right and just be done with that one. Like, no, like I said, if you need to turn the bus around, if you need to make big changes, sweeping changes, monstrous changes, you're empowered at this time to do so. We all are. And these desires at the new moon that we establish, that we focus on, that we manifest relative to change, are going to be resonant. They're going to carry into our next month and the changes. So I want to encourage everybody to kind of grab this one by the horns, try and work with it, right? Even if the working with means consciously knowing when to surrender because this wave is bigger than us, and to kind of go with the change, not fight the change. This portends great change. At the same time, we have all this self-development, self-discovery, appreciation. That's the big Venus word, self-appreciation. Also a huge Taurus at a Uranus and Taurus theme, self-appreciation. We do have the theme of sweeping, massive personal change and collective change. So little bit, how do you say? It seems mutually exclusive, right? If we appreciate things, we usually want to keep them stable. We sort of like what we appreciate. We try to keep them in an appreciable form. But here comes the wind, the big wind, right? We know the wind is coming. So how do we balance that? I think that's going to be one of the main paradoxes this month, is to both appreciate ourselves and also to allow the changes that will surely come, to deepen and in short, just to better ourselves. Again, speaking in insanely vague, just outrageously broad strokes here, because this is collective, right? This is going to affect everybody differently, depending on their natal chart and who knows what other factors. But I digress. So yeah, looking ahead, spoiler alert, back to the present on 16 August 2023. Getting our desires, our aspirations, our motivations, our goals relative to personal change in order. Get your goals and principles, aspirations in order. What kind of change do you want to make? Because it's coming. Who do you want to be? Because you may have an opportunity to see who you are in circumstances you've never experienced before. Change usually involves novelty, new situations, or extreme things that push us out of our comfort zone and sort of force mutation. So with all this expected, it's going to behoove us to consider where this is going, in this brief season, this two-month season of change and upheaval. Because after the next new moon, Grand Trine Uranus Pluto, we have an eclipse. See, we're here and we'll go about 30 degrees and then up. And this eclipse is going to be right across from Eris. So we have a cycle of change, of turbulence coming up. There will be there will be disruption. There will be confusion. There will be delay. There will be obstacles. There will be stress. More so than anything I could promise, looking at a chart like this, relative to the collective, to the transits that affect everybody, I would say that no change like the change that's portended here could happen without stress, anxiety. So expect it, friends. I encourage you to take heart, to lean in. And wherever that takes you, I just encourage everyone to, get in touch with the deep desires resonant with taking your gift, your personal mastery, and putting it to good use in the world. How to help others. That's what Virgo wants. To be of service. So I encourage everyone to explore these themes around motivations and goals. Mars is, again, principles, so our very core principles of self. Leo could be subject to experiences that change them. For other people, this will resonate more with Pluto. Like I said, maybe depending on your natal chart, depending on your natal chart. My moon is right here, so for me and others, it's going to be like for whom Pluto is the active agent in this equation. I think it's going to be that unexpected changes are, that end up being in the end fortunate. And others for whom Uranus is activated may see themes throughout this lunar cycle of gathering and focusing personal force to make change and push through, especially relating to new self-image, new self-expression, new self-appreciation, new values. This is a cycle that's really inviting us and encouraging us to make the changes we've been afraid to make, to explore the areas of our psyche that have held us back too long in most cases. All right, we're almost there. We do have some other formations relative to this new moon and all this Leo stuff. talked about these squares, talked about this grand trine, but what we haven't talked about is that North Node Eris Chiron in Pisces here, very late Pisces, and this is relating very closely to Saturn. Saturn, we're going to have a weird month relative to Saturn, friends. You can see he does nothing here, making no aspects except the closest aspect in the whole chart, except for the zero exact conjunction of new moon. The next closest aspect is Saturn and Chiron. So we're going to have healing work here. We're promised healing work and it's going to be challenging. The semi-square is a stress aspect. It's considered a harsh aspect, and it brings out challenges. Chiron is healing, is navigating our traumas, our early wounds, reclaiming ourselves, reclamation. In Pisces, there's a lot of disillusionment. Eris North Node Chiron with Saturn on Fomalhaut. I really feel that this is going to challenge us to do a couple of things. The words that want to come out of my mouth are decolonize your mind. Decolonize your mind. Get all of the institutional colonizer ideas. Just put those on hold and try on more organic, authentic, natural ways of being. But that's just sort of something that came through me right now. That happens a lot when I'm talking about Eris, and this just sort of wasn't in the script. Okay, back to the script. So this whole thing could go either way. I don't want to make a statement that it's going to be chaotic because Eris is here. This can be traumatic, but both Eris and the nodes are highly unpredictable forces, and they tend to act irregularly. So Eris tends towards the chaotic and unexpected. North Node tends towards the distorted, the compelling. Both of them have a little bit of obsessive quality. They get a little bit obsessed, and North Node will stop Eris and Chiron from expressing themselves in the highest, most unimpeded way, because North Node is an eclipse point. So it will impede them. This is a problem. This is a fetter, a shackle. This is Rahu. And the North Node of the moon is functionally eclipsing Eris and Chiron here in this chart. So that distorted sense of traumatic, chaotic, need to disillusion, need to reclaim, need to re-empower, reinvigorate our personal power in the light of, in the face of the traumas that hold us back. All of that is enshrined to the new moon. So these will be themes. These will be themes this month. It's a complicated moon. It's a complicated moon. The sun and moon are just doing so much here, making so many relationships that we really must touch on. But this semi-square from Saturn to Chiron is going to emphasize Saturn's fears, doubts, guilt, shame regarding Chiron's traumas and healing process. And it could make us feel some kind of way, sort of funny, about any traumas we're still holding in our bodies, especially related to any early life wounds. And the process of dealing with whatever all this turns up for us, the process of dealing with it it's going to be built into the cycle this month. So in a way, even though Saturn's not doing anything, there's no escape when he's on fixed star Fomalhaut, which is within half a degree. He's on one of the most powerful stars in the sky, and I've talked a lot about Fomalhaut. That's in my recent videos. We may touch on that here later, because the full moon, as you can imagine, the full moon will be taking place conjoined to Saturn on Fomalhaut. So yeah, we'll repeat that information, all the Saturn on Fomalhaut stuff. What else? What else is really worth saying? This is a complicated moon. Yeah, I think it offers up an incredible opportunity to transform, to change any unresolved trauma. I think we can begin to generate new patterns, right? I think we can generate new patterns. So if things seem wobbly or jumpy or weird or anxious, that's okay. We can use a lot of this discomfort as a springboard or a stepping stone, or we can think about it as a golden thread that's being offered to us to pull. And as we pull it, we can go deeper into the self-exploration, the deep self-exploration of our self-appreciation. Back to where we started this month. We can test run new emotional patterns of self-relationship. And for many people, this will feel like trying on some new clothes, and they might not feel quite right. But I want to encourage you to be sure that is not because your old clothes, metaphorically speaking, just didn't actually fit that well. A lot of times when people try on nice tailored clothes, it's like, it's different. Got to get used to it. For almost everyone, especially in light of the Saturn-Moon conjunction for the full moon, this is an invitation to engage in the alchemy of conscious personal change. Conscious personal change. That's it. Moving willfully towards being the people that we know we can be and want to be. That's the individual journey. And collectively, I think we're going to see the development of a lot of change in the structures of power, because Saturn is going to be on Fomalhaut, sort of touching the new moon, but it's going to be featured front and center for the full moon. So don't count Saturn out, because Saturn's a big part of this process. I think that's all I want to say. The new moon's complicated. This is a very powerful signature. We got cusps. We got close squares. We got, bizarre formations with royal stars. It's gonna be a vibrant month unless I miss my guess. Let's turn our attention now to the waxing quarter, and this is the first quarter moon on August 24th, 2023. We didn't talk about the intention of the phase. The intention of the new moon is kind of like the seed of the cycle. The intention of the first quarter moon, this is kind of where the cycle emerges. When we see the waxing square between sun and moon, we see what kind of work needs to happen to bring to fruition the goal. And like I said, friends, this is going to be a cycle of work, whatever is asked of us, wherever these changes take us, wherever the collective shifts in power affect us on a personal level. The moon is the collective feels, the collective emotion, the collective consciousness. This sun and moon, this is why we focus on it. This is the collective consciousness. And look at this T-square to the Saturn-Sun opposition that moon makes. Ouch. Yeah, so we have Saturn opposite Sun, T squared by Moon. At this point, Saturn's on Fomalhaut to a very close, almost exact to 8 minutes away. So we're gonna have obstacles. That's a prediction for you. There will be obstacles. The Sun is on Regulus in Leo, and we do have these themes of rulership, self-mastery, autonomy, sovereignty, self-discovery. And the moon is in Libra Scorpio on another cusp. So we have themes of the interpersonal and themes of others. Okay, so we have self-discovery, and this is very much oriented to others. And Saturn is looking side-eye at all that. Everything gets held to the light of Fomalhaut. Everything's subjected to that flame as a litmus test, and to the severity of Saturn. So this energy, which I've detailed in past months as Saturn made his first pass to the star, and he's now retro making a second pass, is one of purity and idealism of vision. Fomalhaut has a very powerful blessing, and the blessing is always come with a test. The test is whether you use the power you're given for the benefit of all without exception. Kind of a Grail test, right? Who does the Grail serve? Well, it serves all. So you're handed a great thing. You found the Grail, but now what do you do with it? And Fomalhaut is famous for downfall if people don't have purity and idealism of a vision that serves all. And a very idealistic but selfish vision, and Fomalhaut will just tear you down. Gives power and it gives downfall. So this energy, when we're dealing with it, the best advice is to relate to this difficult configuration here, this wild looking T-square. My best advice is to focus on the higher truths and the principles at play, especially here relative to Uranus and the opposition that the moon's making. I think it's always good advice, right? Focus on the higher principles and the spiritual truths at play. But it's very good advice now, because we could be really set back. In Leo, we could have a lot of optimism. We could have a lot of mental activity. We could be really relating to that Mars in an empowered place, and we could be just coming out of the gate. We're going to change. I'm going to make the change. I'm going to make that change I've always wanted to make. I'm really going to anchor that. I'm going to set it. I'm going to become a new person. And then we get around to here a week later, and it's like, oh, it's going to be really hard, isn't it? Yeah, it is, fam. It is. And with Mercury retrograde stationed, we might not be thinking our best or our clearest or our most. We just may be a little muddled. It could be subject to some confusion. The ethers of mentality, friends. At this time, there could just be some funky out there. Let's keep your good eye open for funky this month, friends, because you might step in it. I think that communication could be weird, really unusual, irregular, strange. We do have Uranus again, crazy Uncle Uranus in trine to that Mercury station retrograde. We have Royal Star versus Royal Star. And that's just going to dominate everything. So expect this cycle to express very powerfully. And we'll sort of roll this into a kind of segue. We're going to be looking at the full moon, August 30th, the full moon. And the intention of the full moon is really the sort of like action or expression or high point in the energy. If the new moon is the low point in the sine wave, the full moon is where we hit peak. It's where things are at their just most energetic. It's really where the idea of the seed that the new moon represents is kind of where it sprouts, where it happens. So all this creative self-actualization from the new moon signature and all the new the inner, not the new, but the inner planets being in Leo. Now, what this leads to is a moon Saturn conjunction. And This is going to be about 90% of what we focus on. This axis, the Leo-Aquarius axis. Most of the other stuff going on, we've already talked about. We've already talked about these formations. Yeah. Let's focus on Aquarius and Leo and this overwhelming, this overpowering dynamic. Last month, Jupiter made the only aspect relationships to the full moon, and Jupiter squared Sun and Moon. In this month's chart, the full moon is seeing a Sun and Moon that don't make any aspects to any other planets but Saturn, and Saturn conjoins Moon and opposes Sun. So I talked about Fomalhaut at some length, and then most recently, about 3 months ago, or the April-May video when it made its first contact. And this alignment, this axis could really pit. It could pit the self-actualization of Leo against the integration of Aquarius, right? Like usually opposites have this sort of balance, this kind of like imbalance that you have to strike, a paradox that you have to reconcile to get them to work together well. And in this case, what we see is that Leo is about us. Leo is about us and how we express us, how we express self. Aquarius is about how we fit us into bigger patterns. Leo is very passionate, and Aquarius is very dispassionate. Leo is generous and magnanimous, and Aquarius distributes blessings very equally, very socialist. Aquarius distributes things evenly. Yeah. Leo is personal, and Aquarius is impersonal. Aquarius is social, where Leo is about self-development. Leo wants to actualize its purpose, and Aquarius wants to escape from imprisoning patterns. Leo is driven by what makes it happy. Leo is driven by what makes it happy, and Aquarius is driven by what sets it free. So perhaps somewhere in all of that comparison, we can find a way for ourselves to see these two working together. We all have to do this work for ourselves. I am a translator, and I can't, tell you how this is going to turn out for you, but hopefully I'll give you just enough to think about. Here that it will catalyze these things in your own life in a way that's valuable to you. The new moon signaled that this cycle is about Leo, self-actualization through creativity, also about change, transformation. The full moon signals that this cycle is about integration, and if or not the structure, that's Saturn, of our psyche, that's Moon, is in alignment with the ideal of this collective ideal of the liberation from suffering of all beings without exception. This is Fomalhaut's lofty idealism, and integrating that idea that all beings should benefit into our psyches, and integrating the reality of our lives and our actions into that ideal. See, we need to integrate the ideal of humanitarian, of altruism. We need to integrate the altruistic ideal into our psyches, and we need to integrate our lives and our action into the altruistic ideal. When it comes to understanding this full moon, I can only say that in the midst of all the upheaval that looks like it could be happening relative to Uranus and Pluto, so activated on these cusps. I think we'll have to find our place. We'll have to find our people. We'll likely meet with challenges that help us get in where we fit in. And I don't see big disastrous emergency type stuff. I mean, not ultimately. Not ultimately. I don't see this portending disaster. But Uranus will shake things up. Pluto will shake things up. Mars will shake things up. Something's gonna get shook. Something's gonna happen. And within this happening, within all this dynamic activity, finding the systems, the structures of our psyche that are correlate with the highest good and integrating them into our lives, our Leo lives. We are the boss of ourself in Leo, but we need to take into consideration everyone else. Classic conundrum, classic paradox. Yeah, with the rest of the full moon, like I said, I already did talk about a lot of this. North Node, Eris, Chiron, we do have distortion around trauma. Jupiter's on the fixed star Menkar. So this is a star of great depth, Alpha Cetus, great depth, and connected to Mercury. So we're empowered here to understand. Mentally, we're empowered to see what's going on and to, at great depth, be able to leverage in late Leo a lot of self-mastery type energy, a lot of will, a lot of power. Yeah, everything here is about the self and the greater whole. Integrating in alignment with the highest principles of integrity. Only the highest principles here. Anything else could get us into trouble. It's a star associated with downfall. It's primarily associated with downfall, Fomalhaut. You have to read really deep until you discover that you can have not downfall if you're oriented to very high virtue. It's most people just Fomalhaut, oh shit. So this is circling the drain. Fomalhaut's a star, it brings downfall. Yeah, if you fail the test. So the integration. I just want to go over this one more time because it's such a powerful full moon. It's such a powerful cycle. Integration of self, right? Integration of what? Integration of us into what? Into the collective, whatever that is, the bigger group. The relationship between the individual and the group is what's centered here. And Saturn on Fomalhaut is going to bring the hammer. So you have to make sure that only those assertions of personal power, right, Sun and Leo, that are of the highest benefit to all beings without any exceptions, which serve all, like the Grail itself and the Grail King of Lore, which are tested and tempered by Saturn. Only those advancements of personal power that are in alignment with the mystery of the Royal Star Fomalhaut. And its sidereal imperative of humanitarianism. Only those endeavors engaged in at this time have the real potential to really have real long-term potential or real viability. And if we set off on foolish footing in a direction oriented to our own gain, at the detriment of others, the textbook on that is downfall. So I spend a lot of time on this because the royal stars are like this. Power and a pass-fail test. Pass, success. Fail, downfall. You could lose everything. Now, when we talk about this star portending downfall, we are talking more about natal placements, that this becomes really relevant when Fomalhaut is activated in a natal placement. Nonetheless, this is the energy of Fomalhaut. I don't think one full moon is going to bring anyone downfall, but I think if you're trying to orient yourself to that Martian energy from the new moon and the cusp of Virgo and how you can really be of actual good to others and increase the value and quality of your life, other people's lives, increase goodness in the world, and do all this, it's got to be not just for your people, it's got to be for all people. All right. And now we're off to the waning quarter moon. Dun, dun, dun. All right. So this is a time to kind of chill out, to kind of rest, to kind of assess, to look back. Great time to retrospect back on the cycle. Last 3 weeks, plan for the next week, and look ahead to the next new moon. So we'll do exactly that. I do see, yeah, we've talked about most of this. Interestingly, the sun is square to Eris in North Node. We haven't talked about that in a while, but we have. So I don't know. I've gone on a lot, and I don't want to repeat information from other videos. I'm going to kind of give this the quick and dirty. I actually think there's not a lot to discuss here that wouldn't be somewhat repetitive. The only thing I do want to call everyone's attention to is that Pluto opposes the Sun-Moon midpoint and is making a sort of formation, a set of sesquiquadrats to the Sun-Moon square. This could just make things very intensely obsessive. We could be having problems focusing or having problems not focusing. We could be over-focusing. We could be fixating. Pluto in harsh relationship to the sun and moon really disturbs from the great depths of the psyche the opportunities for all this self-appreciation that Taurus and Leo will be working in tandem to create. So we just want to expect obstacles at this time and lean into understanding as well we can why they're happening. And with that, let's check out the next new moon. Next new moon. All right, friends. We run a little over time. Let's just jam through this. It's 14th of September. We're in the DeLorean. We're in the future. We've gone back, and we're looking at where this is all going. So for next new moon, we have a new moon on fixed star Denebola, the star of the teacher, the one who teaches by example. We have a new moon trine Uranus, very close trine to Uranus. New moon opposite to Neptune, and Mercury station direct opposite Saturn in Fomalhaut. And it's another Leo cycle. So what started this month in August is we're look at this cusp. New moon on the Leo Virgo cusp. That's a good cusp, but it is a cusp, and they are electric. This is going to light us up, friends. We got to be ready for some real dynamic tension. We got to be ready for just about anything. And we have to be ready for it to continue into the next lunar cycle. This isn't going to be a onesie, a one-off. It's a twofer. It's a twofer, and then it's eclipse season. So, yeah, with that, I want to thank you. Thank you. I'm meeting with some friends in the near future for a roundtable discussion on some changes that are going to be happening, portended to the United States astrological changes in the near future. For those who aren't familiar, there's a lot of big events that are coming up that are going to affect the United States of America. So keep your eyes open. That roundtable video. I want to promote a place for people who love astrology. I'm always making a mistake when I promote radical astrology. It's a group on Facebook, a great group. We have so much fun, but it's not just for astrologers. I'm always saying, for practitioners of this kind and that kind. It's not for practitioners. I'm a practitioner, and I clearly am just speaking from my own side when I say that. The group Radical Astrology is for anyone with any interest who wants to stay closer to or learn more about this kind of astrology, constellational, sidereal astrology. So, lastly, friends, I want to promote a fundraiser. my dearly beloved Sarina has to wait for a decision on disability. She's had to stop working due to diabetic complications, specifically very painful neuropathies. And she has a fundraiser to support her while she waits the year that it takes to receive a decision about whether you will or will not receive disability. And in the year that it takes to receive the decision after one applies, any kind of work is very frowned upon. It's seen as proof positive that you're not really that disabled. So we're in a pickle. We're in a way. And if you want to support me and my work at this time, the very best thing you could do is contribute to the fundraiser. I'll try to put it right there on the screen. Dear Sarina could use every bit of help and support that anyone out there is able to offer. Please share that, or just, say something nice in the comments, because it's really been a journey, a difficult journey. So thank you. Thank you, friends. Otherwise, I just want to thank you. Thank you for being connected to the living sky, to the actual world, to the alignments as they're happening, and keep it up. Don't go anywhere. Don't. Yeah, but no. In all seriousness, thank you. Just thanks for paying attention. I'm grateful for you all, and I encourage you to come visit my website. It's there, the One Sky Astro. I do personal readings. I do personal consultations, transits, and I think that's about it. Wish you all the very best. I love you, and I'll see you next month. Ciao, fam.